Well, it's officially the spooky season, and Xbox have dropped a lovely Halloween sale onto the Xbox store right now, and surprisingly there's actually quite some brilliant deals here. All the games in today's video are actually the brand new lowest prices that we've ever seen before, so it really is the best time for you all to grab them. Before we do dive in though, I do give away a free Xbox game every single week on these sales videos. All you have to do is just comment below and you're automatically entered. I will have to say as well, if we do hit over 600 likes, I will give away a couple of games instead, and then you can check back in on this Wednesday. With that though, let's dive into the huge sales that you can grab for this week. Control does remain one of the most inventive third-person shooters of the last decade. You will play as Jesse Fadden, exploring the mysterious Federal Bureau of Control, and it's a shifting, brutalist labyrinth that's filled with paranormal phenomena and bureaucratic absurdity. The gunplay and telekinetic powers do actually combine beautifully here, and it lets you hold stuff like desks, rip up floors, and float through combat in cinematic slow motion. The highlight this week though is the Ultimate Edition, which includes both of the expansions, and it actually ties directly into that Alan Wake universe. It's eerie, stylish, and mesmerisingly strange, with world building unlike anything else I've really ever seen. At £3.50 thanks to a 90% discount, it really is a must-buy experience, especially since they just added a huge next generation update, which improved the game even further. Alan Wake 2 is an absolute masterpiece, and Remedy's psychological horror game really did reach new heights here. It really did a great job of blending live action, surreal storytelling, and tense survival gameplay into such a great haunting narrative about duality and obsession. You will alternate between Alan, who's trapped in the nightmare realm of the Dark Place, and Saga Anderson, an FBI agent that's investigating a string of supernatural murders. The presentation is pretty jaw-dropping, from its lighting, sound design, and cinematography that really rivals Hollywood thrillers. At £15 with a 70% discount is the perfect time to experience this modern horror masterpiece. There is a reason why it almost won Game of the Year a couple of years ago now, and it's one you should not miss, especially for this Halloween. This next game is one that I heavily recommend, as it's one of the best deals this week, and upon playing it I was absolutely floored. Nobody Wants to Die takes a very unique concept and spins a noir detective story through a stunning cyberpunk lens. You play as a detective called James Kara, investigating murders in a future where consciousness can be transferred between bodies. The narrative is pretty gripping, the visuals are utterly jaw-dropping, and the tone is dripping with atmosphere. The gameplay though does center on crime scene reconstruction and deduction, where you basically use your futuristic tools to uncover the truth between layers of corruption and existential dread. It's currently down by a 70% discount, and it's such a standout deal for such a visually ambitious title, but as a small indie developer. At £14.50 with a 75% discount, this is the best price we've actually ever seen for Dead Island 2. This is the brand new entry that takes a zombie-slaying mayhem to the sun-soaked streets of Los Angeles. The tone here is gloriously over the top, but the main highlight is the combat, as it really is the star of the show. The game's flesh system makes every swing, slice, and smash grotesquely satisfying, and whether you're crafting absurd weapons or teaming up with friends for co-op carnage, it's pure dumb fun that's really done right. Even after all of the delays before releasing, it's surprisingly polished and packed with so much content. It was even one of 2023's most entertaining zombie titles, so definitely don't sleep on this one, as it's a bloody great time. Costume Quest is pure Halloween magic, and it's great to see it down by such a staggering amount for this spooky season. Created by Double Fine, it's a charming RPG where kids use Halloween costumes to basically transform into powerful heroes during turn-based battles against mischievous monsters. It's short, sweet, and perfect for anyone who misses those neighborhood trick-or-treat vibes. The writing is witty and lighthearted, and the visual style oozes nostalgia without feeling dated, and to be honest, it's just classic Double Fine through and through. At just £1.50, it's almost too cheap for how delightful it really is, and you're getting that signature Double Fine quality right out the gate. Whether you're a fan of quirky indies or just want a dose of autumnal joy, Costume Quest is a no-brainer for this week. If you missed the golden age of 3D platformers, Akimbot is a blast from the past, but is a lot shinier, louder, and also faster. You play as X, a wisecracking robot mercenary with a penchant for explosions, blasting through vibrant sci-fi worlds full of enemies, gadgets, and over-the-top set pieces. The gameplay actually does a really great job of mixing a variety of elements, like shooting and platforming, that feels straight out of the PS2 era. It doesn't take itself too seriously either, and that kind of is the charm, as every level bursts with colour, humour, and also spectacle. At £4.80 is an easy win, especially for anyone craving a dose of old school action with modern flair. Think Ratchet & Clank meets Mega Man, and that's Akimbot in a brilliant nutshell. Bear the Spotlight is retro horror done really right, and it channels the eerie atmosphere of classic PS1 survival games while still keeping things pretty grounded in heartfelt storytelling. You basically play as Vivian, a shy student that's trapped in a dark high school after a seance goes horribly wrong. The fixed camera angles alongside the grainy visuals and also slow pacing create such a creeping dread that feels so nostalgic yet incredibly fresh. It's more psychological than gory, so it leans more into emotional scares and tension rather than jump scares. The writing and voice work give it real soul though, making it as much about friendship and trauma as it is about fear. At £6.70 with a nice 60% discount, it's a perfect short horror experience, especially if you're a fan of games like Silent Hill and Oxenfree. Based on the hit horror films, A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead turned silence into survival, and surprisingly, it actually worked pretty well. You essentially have to navigate a post-apocalyptic world stalked by sound-sensitive creatures, and every step alongside every noise can mean death. Instead of all-out combat like some other horror titles on this list, it's instead of all using tension and using sound to your advantage. You can actually set this one up with your own microphone, so if you make a sound in real life, the AI will hear you and then track you down, which makes for some hilarious moments. It's rare to ever see this one go on sale as well, so for the low price of £12.50, it's one that you definitely need to pick up for this week. Metal Eden was a striking new entry in the sci-fi action genre. It's an atmospheric blend of combat, narrative, and exploration that's wrapped in a dystopian world, and it really gives me some massive Doom vibes. You basically play as a soldier turned rebel, fighting to reclaim a planet that's consumed by its own creations. The gameplay is a massive highlight here, and it kind of has to be if it's taking inspiration from games like Doom, so you can expect a lovely balance of fluid melee combat with tactical shooting which demands quick reflexes and adaptability. At just under £20 after a 40% discount, this is the first time it's ever been on sale, and it's such a great premium experience at a mid-tier price point. I loved my time with this game upon its release, and it's a shame it so went under the radar. Funko Fusion is the ultimate crossover fever dream. It's LEGO-style gameplay meets pop culture overload, and believe it or not, it actually comes from some ex-developers at TT Games. Like the LEGO games though, you will have to smash, solve, and explore across worlds inspired by dozens of iconic franchises, from the likes of Jurassic Park to the Umbrella Academy. It's cheapy, chaotic, and packed with loads of Easter eggs that make every level feel like a nostalgic treasure hunt. Honestly, for me, I really love the Hot Fuzz levels as I'm a massive fan of the film, and it just hits that nail on the head in terms of references and playing out the film but in Funko form. Despite its toy-like charm, it's surprisingly polished, and at £12 it's such a great value for hours of crossover madness. If you do want to check out my review of this game, do make sure to click out the link below. If Hollow Knight and The Nightmare Before Christmas had a Sugar Rush baby, it kind of looked like Devil Treats. In this one, you play as Scary, a ghostly entrepreneur fighting to reclaim Hollow Town from corporate greed, literally battling monsters representing social media addiction and soulless consumerism. It's actually a hand-drawn 2D hack-and-slash game that's brimming with so much style and humour, and it's great for that Halloween flair. The combat is fast and fluid as you can see on screen now, and there's also plenty of different upgrades and combos to keep things pretty interesting. I was actually surprised I've never heard of this one before, but it's not the deepest roguelike as I'm going by some Steam reviews out there. Honestly, at £4.94 it might be worth picking up, especially if you're looking for a Halloween game to play for this spooky season. If you like your co-op shooters spooky and intense, Sker Ritual delivers horror with a heavy dose of insane firepower. It's actually a spiritual successor to Maid of Sker, but it trades creeping corridors for chaotic survival waves that are set across eerie Welsh-inspired landscapes. You and up to 3 friends will fend off some supernatural horrors using customizable weapons and also steampunk-style gadgets, all whilst eerie chants and unsettling whispers haunt the background. It's very reminiscent of games like Call of Duty Zombies, but with a folklore-inspired edge, and also a unique combo that keeps intention high and teamwork essential. At £10 thanks to a 50% discount, it's a strong co-op choice for this spooky season. Before Raccoon City, there was Resident Evil 0, and even though there are rumours of a potential remake in the works, this prequel is certainly one that you need to pick up for this Halloween. You play as Rebecca Chambers and Billy Cohen, switching between the two to solve puzzles, manage your limited inventory space, and survive the night against a zombie-infested train and beyond. It is classic Resident Evil design though at its very purest, so it's quite slow, tense, and packed with that delicious old-school challenge. This is a remaster, so you get some nice HD renders, and also it polishes the controls just enough to make it playable in today's day and age. At £4 with a nice 75% discount, it's an essential pickup for fans of this franchise. It's slower and more cerebral than the later entries though, but that's exactly why it's got so much charm. It's very claustrophobic, unsettling, and just timely atmospheric. For all of you tactical game lovers out there, Othercide is now down to £5, and that's a bloody bargain for this incredible indie title. This dark tactical RPG oozes with so much atmosphere, whilst its haunting black and white and red art style make every battle feel like something out of a gothic horror novel. In Othercide, you'll command a squad of warrior daughters, each birthed from the soul of a great warrior, in turn-based combat where every move really does count. The twist? Well, there's a permadeath mechanic, meaning if you lose a daughter in battle, it is permanent, but you can sacrifice one to heal or empower another. The game has a really deep and unforgiving strategy layer that really does reward your careful planning and positioning, and it really doesn't hold your hand. If you're looking for a challenge and want a game that's as gorgeous as it is grim, then this is the one for you. Next up, we actually have one of my favourite AA games of this generation so far, and one that launched all the way back with the Xbox Series consoles in 2020. Chorus is a fantastic space shooter with a cinematic twist, and the visual quality on offer here out of the gate is just truly stunning. This one does put you in control of Nara, an ace pilot with a haunted past, with her sentient ship called Forsaken. Together, you'll soar through a stylized galaxy, complete with dogfights, drifting maneuvers, and psychic abilities that add a supernatural edge to classic space combat. I would say if you've loved games like the likes of Everspace 2 on Xbox Game Pass, then you will likely adore Chorus as much as I did. Again, this one is down to a lovely £3.37 at 85% off, and it's a real hidden gem that I absolutely adore. I also wanted to highlight a massive sale that's going on within the Xbox store right now. This sale was actually put on in conjunction with the release of the Xbox Rock Ally handhelds, meaning they are perfect games that will run incredibly well across both of the SKUs. This is a $1 or less sale, which contains about 40 titles. Some of these include hundreds of hours of content for you to dive into. The main sort of games though are from Kemco, which are JRPGs, and they definitely take inspiration from the classic RPGs back in the 90s and early 2000s. I've personally never tried any of these games, but I've added quite a few of them in my collection because of that ridiculous price tag. It might definitely be worth checking out that sale on the store this week before it does expire. So what games are you going to be picking up in this week's Xbox Store sale? You'll have to let me know down below. Remember to smash that like button because again, if we do hit 600 likes, I will give away a couple of games in Wednesday's sales video. Whilst you're here though, and if you do want to check out some awesome Xbox content, why don't you check out the video on screen now? I recently covered all the games coming up to Xbox and Game Pass this week, and to see if any of them are worth your time and or money.